Hello friend, my name is Raza Masood. Today we will discuss about large project. Friend, let me tell you that it's a very easy topic to understand that what is basically a definition of a project which is basically considered as a large and how we can manage the large projects. So first of all, I will request you to please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell option. So let us start. What is basically a large project? Friend, remember one thing that there is no such boundary or specific definition through which we can call a project as a large project. A large project, it depends on the view of the stakeholder and how they judge the respective project. Basically, it's all depend on your point of view, depend on the point of view of a stakeholder. Let me give you an example. For example, a construction company is going to implement a project which is basically construction project, and it is a very similar project which they have already done in past, like 2 or 3 projects they already have done in past. So it's a very similar project, so more possible is that they don't consider it as a large project. However, if we talk about a software project, like you are implementing a new accounting system as a software, so you have never implemented such type of project in past, so the stakeholder can consider this as a uh, large project. So let me tell you this, that there is no such specific definition of a large project. Basically, large project is basically consider depend on the point of view of a stakeholder, how you consider a project. It totally depends on your point of view, on point of view of a stakeholder. If we talk about general frame of a large project, remember one thing, that the large projects normally have longer duration, for example 6 months and longer, large team of people, more than 50 or 100, greater budget, greater cost, and also the task complexity is high, including many tasks having to be done concurrently. So these are the boundaries, you can say these are the frame at which we can consider, like duration is very high, team is very high, cost or budget is high, complexity of task is high. So due to these reasons, due to these frame these factor, we can consider it as a large project. If a project having duration of more than 6 months, so we can say that it is a large project, we can consider this as a large project. Very simple examples of large project is like that, for example introducing an entirely new accounting system, a complete office relocation, setting up a new business in another location, establishing a complete new team for a new product or service brand, etc. So all these are a very simple and easy to understand example of large projects. Friend, here it is very necessary to understand that why we need to classify as a project as a large. What are the reason? See, when we classify a project as a large, so the project management tools, techniques, the point of view to how to manage the stakeholder is totally different. Classifying a project into this range help the project management and all related stakeholder to understand how they can support the project and what kind of characteristics they should watch very closely. Because see, there is a difference between managing a project which is small and a project which is very big. There is a very big difference between the approaches both. See, if a project is very small, you don't need to be very careful. I mean, the decision making is simple in a small projects, and in the large projects decision making is very complex. So remember one thing, whenever you able to classify a project as a large, so the management approach or the implementation approach is different, and if a project is small, not very complex, so the implementation or management approach is different. So it is very necessary that to classify or identify a project as large at a very early stage, at a very initial stage, so you can use the proper project management methodology, stakeholder management, cost management, time management, etc., according to the magnitude of work. So that's why we need to identify a project as large as a very early stage. What are the characteristics to identify a project as a large? How we can identify? And the main characteristic. One characteristic is technical. The technology, which technical things, the main technology which you are using. The functional means the main functionality which you have to deliver. Organizational structure, for example, the organization support more to project management or more to functional management, etc. So organizational structure is a very basic characteristic. Then the financial, like the cost, how you calculate the cost, how you estimate the cost which is required to accomplish the project. Temporal means the long time frames and many other dependencies. Why? Because if a project is having a very long time frame to implement, so there are many factors which automatically become involved in the implementation, and you have to be very careful. Like for example, at the start of a project, one stakeholder from customer was giving requirements, and after 4 months he resigned, and another stakeholder came into a project and he doesn't have enough knowledge whatever was discussed and agreed 4 months ago. So these are the things which are very necessary whenever the time frame of a project is increased. So these are the basic characteristics which we have discussed to identify a project as large. Now the skills required to manage a large project. Decision making. Remember one thing, that whenever we talk about a large project, so it has the decision making is more complex. And you as a project manager, you have to be very careful, and you should have to identify as a project manager the persons, the stakeholder who are responsible to make the decisions. And also the also the criteria of decision making is also very important and should be documented properly. So remember one thing, that the large projects having the decision making is not very easy and quick in the large projects. It has so many stakeholders involved to making the decision. So if vice versa, if we talk about small projects, decision making is not so complex, but in large projects decision making is very complex and need coordination in large projects. And the project manager's role and responsibility should be to identify the right people to make each major decision. And the decision making criteria should also be well documented and communicated and circulated to all stakeholders. Okay, so remember one thing, the large projects decision making in the large project is very difficult, and as a project manager you should have to able to identify the right people who can make the right decisions. Okay, this is a very main and the base very important skills required in large projects. Then the project meetings. It is also very important as a project manager that you should able to conduct successful and fruitful meetings. Remember one thing, that large project needs more team meetings. In a large project, such meeting may need to take place every day. In for example, in a small project, if you conduct a meeting after every week, then it's okay. But in large projects you have to do meetings every day, and and record the progress every day. Whatever the progress you are making according to the plan, it is very necessary that you track the progress, you conduct the meeting every day. Sub-team meetings may need to occur frequently to coordinate activities on one part of a large project and then report any implications to the overall project as a result to the overall manager. Okay, so project meetings are very necessary. You are as a project manager responsible to conduct the successful project meetings. In a large projects you have to conduct everyday meetings, and you, if there is any problem, any issue, you should be able to escalate to the senior management then and there. This is very necessary, because if you are conducting meeting every day, so you have a close eye on the people, whatever they are doing, are they on the right track, are they are not on the right track. So project meetings are very important, and it should be conducted on every day, and the minutes of the meeting should be circulated properly. Then project management tools and approaches, these are very important in the large projects. Remember one thing, there are many software based project management systems nowadays available, including software which helps overall planning and scheduling like MS Project, EPM, Jira, etc. So these are the software tools which are also available in market easily, and you should be able and hands-on on these types of software project management, because it is very important that you should use these types of software, because to do the planning, to do the scheduling, to do the issue management, and so all these sorts of project management techniques, you should be able to implement these techniques through the project management software like MS Project, EPM, and Jira, etc. It depends on the company's culture, whatever they want, they can purchase the software accordingly, but it is necessary and very important to implement and use any such type of software in large project. It is very necessary to manage it properly. Also, the software approaches like waterfall, scrum, etc., it depends on the company's culture. Remember one thing, that a scrum, it is not necessary that a scrum will always use for small project. This is a wrong concept. Let me tell you that it is not necessary that always the large projects use the waterfall approach. The large projects can use scrum approach as well, but it depends on the company's culture and the acceptance of stakeholder, etc. So whatever the implementation approach as a project manager you think is suitable, you should use it accordingly, either waterfall or a scrum. Then talk about PMP exam. Friend, one thing remember, that you should remember that expect approximately 4 to 5 questions in the exam, maybe more or less, but around 4 to 5 questions you should expect in exam related to large project, not necessary exactly related to large projects. Maybe you can see the large project in options of answers as well. But remember one thing, that as a project manager you should have a clear idea of a project and what is basically a large project, because see, as a definition of project is that it has some starting point, it has some ending point, and it gives you a specific delivery or a specific product. So this is the main difference between a project and operational work. So remember one thing, that you should able to identify that it is a project, it is operational work, and also what is basically a large project. This is very important, that you should able to identify a large project, the characteristics which we have discussed in the previous slides. On basis of that, you should be able to identify large projects, and the characteristics through which we can identify a large projects, and how we can manage a large project, and what is the difference between the large project and a small projects, and what is the basically difference between implementation of project management approach in small projects and in large projects. So all these types of differences you should be able to identify, and you should be able to identify and make the decisions accordingly. So in the PMP exam, just be ready to see a few questions related to large project. You will definitely see few questions related to large project. So as a student, you should have understanding between the project and you should have a clear understanding about the definition of a project, and also you should have the clear understanding that how you manage large projects, and how you deliver the large project, how you manage a stakeholder, how you manage the cost, timelines, all these factors, how you manage it accordingly in the large project. Also, which softwares you can use in large projects like EPM, Jira, MS Project, etc. So friend, I have tried my level best to explain you the concept of a large project, and I have tried my level best to give you the complete idea with respect to the definition, characteristics, and how you can see the exam questions in the PMP. And also you as a project manager, you should have the understanding that how you can manage large projects. So thank you, that's all from my side. If you have any question, please comment on my video, and also please share it and subscribe to my channel. And thank you, thanks a lot, thank you.